The grading system provides an assurance of quality, boosting visitor confidence, and reinforcing Johannesburg's status as a world-class destination. As we know, the benefits of grading are essential to ensuring the following: world-class standards, enhanced global perception, economic growth, and competitive advantage. We commend GCSA for introducing the free grading promotion in February 2025, which will allow eligible, new and lapsed properties to obtain grading at no cost, free of charge. The initiative is a game changer to our industry, particularly for small and emerging accommodation providers who may have faced financial or administrative barriers in the past. By increasing the number of graded establishments, we are ensuring that Johannesburg can adequately accommodate the influx of international guests expected during the G20 summit. There is a call to action as we urge and encourage all ungraded accommodation providers in Joburg to seize this opportunity. If your establishment has never been graded or your previous grading has expired, now it is the time to apply and become part of this prestigious network. Applications can be submitted via TGCSA website, which is www.tourismgrading.co.za. I repeat, www.tourismgrading.co.za. And successful applicants will receive a one-year grading membership. As industry leaders, we must also spread the word. Please encourage partners, colleagues, and businesses in your networks to participate in this initiative. Johannesburg has always been a leader in tourism and business travel, and the 2025 G20 Summit presents a unique opportunity to showcase our excellence on a global stage. By working together, we can enhance our destination's reputation, uplift local businesses, and ensure that every visitor experiences the best that Johannesburg can offer. Let's make the most of this opportunity to build a stronger, more competitive tourism sector, ensuring Joburg a top choice for global events, business, and leisure travelers. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing the positive impact of this initiative on our destination's offering. Thank you.
Thanks very much, our partner, Mr. Thembinkosi Sindane. Thank you very much for those words. We can only succeed through collaborations, and I think this is one of those that we will be doing. And I think also maybe just to highlight is that we are not only focusing on G20 as a catalyst, a big event, but we want to use this opportunity to make sure that this becomes our norms and standards and, becomes a norm. Not that now we have to work towards a particular, objective, but we know that across the board, we have to have a quality assured destination. I'm going to ask my other partner in grading, just to give, because we do this in collaboration with the sector, but also with other role players. My partner in grading from Tourism Business Council of South Africa, just for the message of support, my partner there, Tumelo Daniels, to come and share a few words from Tourism Business Council, TBCSA. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for waking up and beating the traffic to be here this morning. Yes, the room is not full, but we've got good news, and I'm sure those of you sitting here will go out and tell the others about the good news that we're about to share with you this morning. I have been tasked to give a message of support, and on behalf of the Tourism Business Council. Those in the room who don't know the Tourism Business Council, we are the leading voice in the private sector. And yes, we do agree that we need our accommodation and conferencing establishments to be graded for us to showcase our destination as a world-class destination during G20 and beyond. There is going to be a lot of global events that are going to take place in this country. So this is a great opportunity for everyone who owns accommodation and conferencing establishments to be graded. Tourism Grading Council, together with the Department of Tourism, have come together and are funding properties to grade for free during the month of February. So please take up this opportunity. There won't be any chance like this again anytime soon. The money is going to finish for other things that we need to do to make sure that we show up for other global events that are going to take place. So I encourage you, each and every one of you sitting here who owns properties, please take up this opportunity. It's a great opportunity. At the work that Grading Council is doing, it's part of being inclusive. We talk about transformation. We talk about small properties not being included when there's global events coming here. So this is an opportunity, because if you're not graded, sorry for you, we are not going to choose your property. The government departments that are coming across all countries are going to be looking at that supply database that government has. So for you to qualify to be on that supply database and to be chosen as a property that's going to host these travelers, you need to be graded. So I am giving a message of support to say, please grade your establishments. We are here for you. Colleagues from the Grading Council are here in this room. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact them. Even us as TBCSA, we can also give you some light on grading. And because we love tourism grading and we love South African tourism, we've actually partnered for this roadshow that is taking place in February to come up with a campaign as TBCSA on behalf of the TOMSA levy. We've come up with a great initiative that is going to benefit all the properties that are going to be grading the establishment in February. I know when we go around the country, people are always asking, what is it in for me to grade and collect the tourism levy? So we have listened to you. In the month of February, you have an opportunity to win marketing support for your business with 40,000 Rand. So we're going to be choosing 6 properties out of those ones who are going to be signing up in February. So what is the competition all about? Right. So the marketing support is, we have negotiated a package with one of the national radio stations on one of the popular breakfast shows, business breakfast shows. So the owner of the property will have an opportunity to talk about their offering on this live radio station for 7 minutes. No one can give you that. So we have listened and we are responding. 40,000 Rand for each property that is going to join TOMSA, and the property must be graded or must be in the process of grading. And there's going to be a podcast which will be recorded. We'll send you the recording. And as TPCSA and TOMSA, we're going to make sure that we post about your property. We say nice things about your property on our platforms. But here's the catch. Remember, when you collect the tourism levy, it's charged on your room rate. You need to collect for 3 consecutive months, because our policy says you are a TOMSA levy in good standing if you collect for 3 months, for more than 3 months. So we will cut it off at 3 months. So at the end of May, we'll choose the winners, and in June, you'll go live on the radio station. You must join TOMSA. You must be graded in the month of Feb. And how do you join TOMSA? Please go on to our website. Our website, there is an online TOMSA agreement form. And please remember, it's free to join TOMSA. There's no joining fee. The agreement is online. And we also added a Tourism Grading Council link on our agreement so that you can also join grading. Cut-off date for signing up is end of Feb. And this is open to all properties across South Africa, not only in Gauteng. So, because I'm speaking to the Gauteng audience this morning, and I'm making this official announcement, don't lose out. And there's more to come. This is just the first of saying we are responding to your queries about what's it in for me to grade and collect the tourism levy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me not take up your time. Grading Council will be on stage soon to talk about how you grade your properties. As TVCSA, we are saying to you sitting here, let's not sleep on this opportunity. G20 is here. Let's showcase our properties. Let's welcome those visitors in those graded establishments. We know that you won't disappoint. We want to make sure that after the summit, we must be regarded as the best host to date of G20. Thank you.
Thank you very much to me. I think, guys, with that generous offer, surely we can do better. Can we give her another round of applause? Thank you very much. I think we always talk about benefits because people often ask questions, why, what are my benefits for joining? And, you know, whether it's grading, as Tumi was saying, or whether it's TOMSA levy collection. The key thing is that I'm going to go back to my earlier comment. If you're not in the supermarket, you lose out on the benefits. So you have to be in the supermarket. And also one of the things that I want to highlight, as I said, is not only about G20 as a catalytic project for South Africa, but also at South African Tourism, we have what we call National Association Project. I think let me just highlight that. So this is a project that we have started during the COVID era, when we realized that a number of big meetings, whether small meetings or big meetings or conferences, the benefits are usually felt in the 3 key main cities like your Durban, Joburg, and Cape Town. And other areas outside of those metropolitan areas, they don't really feel the benefits, you know, whether it's Northern Cape somewhere, Appington, or somewhere in Garib, in the Free State, or, you know, those far-flanked cities or so-called secondary cities. Then the National Association Project was established to ensure that the benefits of business events are felt across, you know, because now we understand that on the leisure side, people travel everywhere. But on the business meeting side, we're still a bit struggling in some of the smaller venues. Now, what we did, we partnered with all the associations, you can name them nationally, where we say to associations, please, when you host your next AGM or your stakeholder meeting or conference, can you please consider taking your meeting to a secondary city than, because you could find that that meeting is about 200 pax, and why do you want to go to a big venue, a convention center? Why can't you just take it to a smaller venue? You can still get, the benefits, but it's a small, intimate venue. So we try to spread these meetings across. So the team at South African National Convention Bureau are hard at work making sure that all the venues nationally, the state of readiness to host, it's intact. But most importantly as well, they've done an audit nationally where they looked at several venues and also provided insights in terms of how you can improve on your venues. The municipalities have to play a role in ensuring that the infrastructure around those venues are, in place, so that when the association decide to take those meetings, then, the venue is, and also the ecosystem of the business events are also getting benefits out of the initiatives that we do. And the ecosystem is vast, from tech companies that are providing technical, from crafters who provides, enhancing your meeting, to all of those people who are playing a role, catering, and some venues may not necessarily provide catering, but there will be outside caterers who also can benefit. So you understand that what we are doing, we are trying to make sure that the ecosystem really are able to get benefits out of this. So why I'm mentioning all of this is that when your venue as well, because I know we're talking grading, largely it's on the accommodation side, leisure, but also venues. It means you are already in the supermarket, so that by the time an association decide to take their meeting to you, one of the key criteria areas that they look at is whether your venue is graded. So therefore, you're already there. You're already in the supermarket. So colleagues, I think that is important so that we can also make sure that the benefits are felt. Now, from the generous offer of our partner, TBCSA, thank you very much to me once again. And I think we do this as a collective to make sure that we understand how much it's expensive to be in radio. And we understand that not everybody can afford marketing, opportunities. But we felt, let us all come together and find ways of how we can really help each other to make sure that your properties or your offerings can be known. Now, we are now getting into we have done the first part, kind of doing the flag waving. That is the job that I do. I just do the flag waving. But the technical people who are now on the ground, they will come and now share with you detail. I'm going to ask Bronwyn, my partner, who is the chief police. I'm calling her chief police because she makes sure that you are all compliant. Because we know there are shenanigans out there, people who are not graded, but they still utilize our plaques to say, I'm still graded. So we make sure that we check you out, because otherwise then it's unfair that, you have to comply. We have to maintain that. So Bronwyn is our Chief Quality Assurance Officer at Tourism Grading Council of South Africa. And she will just share with you the objectives and, just to give more detail on the program. Thank you very much, Bron.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for the very warm welcome, and thank you to the, as Tony calls it, the state of the grading address. What a great time to be alive. As someone, I know I only look 25, colleagues, but as someone who actually was part of SA Tourism when we were preparing for the Soccer World Cup in 2010, I can tell you that the road to G20 is another one of these epic events for South Africa. And it is truly, truly, truly a privilege to be standing here amongst you, to be talking about how we have the opportunity to change lives. I am overwhelmed by just how much tourism can change and make opportunities for human beings. The Grading Council has a unique privilege in that we get to quality assure product on the ground. And to be clear, quality assurance is not something we dream up in a dark room and impose on anybody. Quality assurance is all about upholding the norms and the standards and meeting and exceeding the expectations of our consumers, the business travelers, the leisure travelers, the sporting and cultural travelers. And that is for both domestic and international arrivals. We have just been through a grading criteria review process. We have been on the ground in every province. We have consulted research. We have interviewed people around the world. We have interviewed people in South Africa. We have sat in a room going through every single criteria across 9 provinces, hybrid, in person, you name it, and we have consulted sector forums to say, colleagues, what are the trends? What are the standards we want to set to delight our consumers so we can maximize the value and the volume of tourism in South Africa? And that has been a phenomenal privilege, and it has been truly exciting to be engaged in this process. We have over 50 in-person assessors around the country who are CATH-CETA certified, who uphold those norms and standards. They will visit an establishment, they will check the norms and standards, and most importantly, they're not inspectors, colleagues, they are consultants who then engage and provide guidance on how other people are doing it based on the norms and standards. And I think that is one of the greatest bits of feedback I receive from properties all the time. The relationship between a property and an assessor is very unique because they're able to share industry insights on what is working, what's not working, what other people are doing, other trends, all amongst discussing our norms and standards. So I'm really impressing upon you that this process is not a punitive process. This process is about collaboration. It truly is about collaboration. It's about making sure that our consumers are happy. And we appreciate all the product out there because we are very aware that the people making this work are the people in this room and online and throughout South Africa. And we are truly, truly grateful for that. And I thank you right up front for the service that you deliver to the tourism sector. I'd also like to thank all our partners, stakeholders, and collaborators. We are not here today by virtue of us dreaming this up. We have been consulting with all the stakeholders, and just like to say thank you very much for everybody for their contributions and their thoughts to bring us here today. We had long discussions with all the associations in the tourism sector, with the provincial tourism authorities, with the local tourism authorities. And the conversation was, how can we bring more value to G20? And this is the first step. The first step is get graded. And we are meeting the associations, the provincial tourism authorities, and the local tourism authorities halfway by saying, okay, for the month of February, as we prepare for this great event, let's grade everyone for free. And those are new entrants, anyone who's had a lapsed subscription for over 3 years, come back into the family, let's do this. We are sitting in a beautiful venue today, very professional business eventing venue. It is gorgeous. It is world class. And I think we can all walk out of here saying we were in a professional environment, but this is what the world is looking for from us. And being graded is a part of that journey. From our research and our data, I can tell you that globally, consumers, leisure travelers, make up to 91% across all the continents say that grading is a core part of their decision making when they book accommodation from a leisure perspective. For the MICE industry, so that's the meetings, incentives, conferences, and eventing business, it is a core consideration in hosting a business event. For those of you in the business events industry, when a bid party applies to host an event, one of the core considerations is how many graded properties, venues, meeting spaces are available to my customer for the purpose of hosting a business meeting. I think Tony gave you a bit of an overview of the impact of something like G20. But when we were recently in Cape Town now, launching this very program, we had the opportunity to engage with the DDG for Tourism and Economic Development in the Western Cape, who were sharing with us the impact of G20 on a very granular level. And although we say G20 is happening in November here in Johannesburg, there are a series of other meetings for each and every sector that supports it. And I think the Western Cape alone counted, outside of the primary meetings and the secondary meetings, it is estimated that there are approximately 100 individual meetings linked to G20 happening in and around the Western Cape. And they're not even hosting G20. So the opportunity for Gauteng, I would think, is so much more significant. And people are looking for meeting rooms, not necessarily for a conferencing facility only like this, but for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. It is such an opportunity. It really is a fabulous opportunity for us to be sharing our tourism product with the world. And it's so fitting that the themes for G20, I feel, were written for the Grading Council: solidarity, equality, and sustainability. What I love about this initiative is the solidarity as a tourism sector from all our partners. We are resolute that we are going to service the world in the best way that we can. And that is why we have quality assurance. Quality assurance is really what underpins the opportunity for our consumers to have an exceptional experience. It's a minimum standard. It's a way to make sure that your consumers walk away telling everyone about who you are and how amazing you are. And I think that is the importance of it. And when we're seeing all of our hotel groups becoming particularly busy, and I think the next theme, equality, is something that tourism has a huge opportunity to provide to South Africa. Tony mentioned that the Western Cape is particularly full this time of year. We're no stranger to that. It's the state of the nation. It's mining in Durban. And I mean, I go down at this time of the year almost every year for various business reasons. But I can tell you it is even fuller than we've ever expected before. And this is where the equality part comes in. It was absolutely fabulous to have a particularly unique experience. The city of Cape Town is fully booked. So my team and I had the absolute privilege of staying in a 4-star guest house outside of Cape Town. The service was unbelievable. The business owner, it's a small 10-roomed property, was absolutely delighted because she never in her wildest dreams thought that we would be staying with her. That is the impact of hosting a great event like G20 in this year. And then from a sustainability perspective, I think what is really, really critical is that sustainability is something that we keep core front and center of what we do. We have criteria and an accolade that speaks to it, but more importantly, the sustainability of what we are leveraging today in terms of continuously providing jobs through tourism. And I think that is one of the biggest mandates for our tourism sector and very, very exciting. Outside of that, of course, we are preparing to host international delegates. And I think, as you were saying, Tim and Nkosi, the reality is we are hosting the world's global leaders, their delegates, their entourages, and the media that comes with them, that gives exposure to the world on what it is we have to offer. And it truly is a fantastic opportunity. And I really would like to wish everybody very well on their journey into grading, number one. We look forward to welcoming you to the family. We look forward to helping you make your decisions. Sometimes there is uncertainty in where you fit into, in which criteria, and how you should be showing up. And I can assure you our grading is set so that it accommodates different categories. What you provide is unique to the target audience that you would like to speak to. And that's all that matters. And I'm going to make sure everyone in this room understands we are as equally proud of a 1-star property as we are a 5-star property. Everything serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose. And we are certainly very proud to be welcoming everybody into the grading family. And we sincerely wish that you take advantage of this opportunity. Please share it with your friends in the industry. If there's anyone who needs a hand, we have a team of very qualified assessors on the ground. My team, if you don't mind just standing up really quickly so everyone can see who you are in the room, from the Grading Council. We have a number of people here today. I can just quickly tell you it's a combination of management team and assessors. Please feel free for those of you who are in the room to ask the questions. And Nelisiwe will introduce everyone in detail. The assessors are on the ground. They will come to visit you at your property. They will give you counsel. Nelisiwe standing here will be following now in terms of sharing with you how exactly we go through this process. Nelly, can you put your hand up so everyone can see you? And supported by the rest of the team here. Knox, who is in charge of our grading criteria, and all the training of our accredited assessors. Sorry, the light is right in my eye. We have our assessors and our PQASs in the room who are very happy to take all of your queries. So I do wish you well for the rest of the day, and thank you once again for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bronwyn. I think it's amazing how when we pull together, especially, I mean, this is a national service. I call it a national service for all of us because it's not only about grading or South African tourism or yourselves, but I think it's this national service. It's service to South Africa to make sure that when we receive visitors from abroad, when they go back with the fuzzy feeling of, refreshed memories from a destination called South Africa. It's just amazing. One thing that I want to highlight is that having done a lot of crisscrossing globally to market South Africa, one of the things that I always come back with is that, our grading system is of highest quality. And, I stayed in, so we did this event in France when we had, so I think it was in 2013, we had a South Africa month in France. So what happens, France hosted us as a guest country, and they gave us sort of the freedom of France as South Africa, where we were able to get like a 6-month profiling of South Africa, where South Africa had a blast of activities, hype of activities, exhibitions, arts, entertainment, just to showcase ourselves. So it's called South Africa Season in France. And then we reciprocated with France as well, where we had France Season in South Africa. So it's a good, it was a good sort of camaraderie, friendship setup. So at that time, as you know, Paris is quite a busy city. It actually receives a lot of visitors. I think annually they receive about 70 million people. I mean, we tried to get 21 million, there was a target that we had. I mean, they received more than 70 million people annually. So there was no accommodation in and around the main area, because there was French Open, there was some air show, and then there was this season, South Africa Season. And then I was looking for accommodation, throughout, and luckily through our office in Paris, and they said, no, there's another place here. I mean, it was still in Champs-Élysées, one of the main hubs in Paris. But trust me, that hotel that they recommended was a 4-star hotel. I had to check out before I even checked in. So, because it was not even close to some of our 3-star properties. Our 3 stars are large. Some properties abroad, you find that is a 5-star equivalent, our 3-star. So all I'm saying is that when you crisscross and you check around, I mean, even the US, you find that some of these properties, they don't even match the high quality standards that we have as a country. So, colleagues, we are well within time. We will have, and I know that we just had tea and coffee. We were going to have teas and coffee, but I'm just going to make an executive decision. If you want to have a leg stretch, we can do that. Or we jump into the technical presentation now that we will have with Nelly Siwe, who's going to take us through now the detail of, the whole process. So you all agree we continue? Number one. So, okay, no, it's fine. Yeah. While they, sort of catching their breath, you can set up Nelly. And but I think this is exciting. It's exciting times, colleagues. If you remember, I think it was 2002 or 2006, colleagues, you correct me, when we were announced as the host for 2010 World Cup. You remember that Saturday? It was on a Saturday. I remember it was on a Saturday. The next host is South Africa. We all remember that moment. I remember it was on a Saturday. It was an exciting time, and they were all excited. And 2010 came. We were all excited. I was based in KZN at the time. And, one of the most important things that I want to share, at the time I was working for Tourism KZN, and I was responsible for international market in Europe. And so the first game that was hosted in Durban at the time, it was Spain against Switzerland, where Spain lost that game. And I was privileged to attend that game because we had a tour operator that we had a partnership with in Switzerland called, I'm trying to remember the name of the tour operator now, but they brought a whole lot of, Swiss contingent to come and watch that game. So it was a raid, it was a sea of red at that stadium of Swiss, colleagues. And, what was amazing, remember the World Cup, I think for the first time, for the first time it was hosted around winter, because generally, it's hosted in summer of Northern Hemisphere. But because of Durban and its weather, The Swiss were so surprised that we are in the middle of winter, but they were all in shorts. And, it was just amazing to experience the winter season of Durban. And, but the atmosphere around the stadium, around the beachfront, so that hype, unfortunately, that hype died, man, and it's something that we really want to bring back. But we can only bring back such hype when we're hosting, and so that we are all playing our part and we just create this atmosphere. But generally, when people come here, before they come, they don't know what to expect to South Africa. But by the time they go back home, they are blown away. Because most, they don't know what to expect. Most still think, okay, it's Africa, all right, we don't know. Are they going to be roaming around with the elephants and lions? I mean, trust me, colleagues, we still get those comments. When they come here, they realize that we have massive infrastructure that is even better than most of the developed countries. So I think I'm just sharing this because I think every time we're hosting something, there's greatness that come out of the hosting for most of our delegates. So, Nels, are you ready for us? Thank you. This is my partner in grading as well. She is the soldier on the ground. So these are the guys who go around, as Bronwyn has said, going around, giving you counsel, how you go about grading. And so she's going to share a beautiful presentation about the whole technicalities and how to go about. So, Nelly, over to you.
Thank you, Tony, for that introduction. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to you all. Lovely to meet you. My name, as introduced, is Nelisiwe Yengwa. I'm the National Quality Assessment Manager within Tourism Grading Council. My main responsibility is to quality or oversee the team and functions of us quality assuring tourism products across the country. So mine is a responsibility of outlining a few aspects around quality assurance, particularly within the Tourism Grading Council. As part and parcel of my presentation, I'm going to take you through the TGCSA mandate, vision and mission, the actual grading process, what it entails from you from the application stage up until the accreditation of your stars, as we call it. I will then explain the actual set of quality standards that we apply when we go and conduct these physical assessments, and touch on an additional in terms of the accolades, which is a mechanism of us recognizing and accrediting those products that offer or cater to niche markets, certain niche markets. I will then also just outline the universal accessibility criteria, which is specifically for products that cater for people with certain limitations. And then I will touch, even though my colleagues before me, Tim Nkosi and Dumi, as well as Bron, have already outlined the actual benefits of being graded. And then I will take you through the application process, particularly with the free February promotion that's currently in place. And then we will open the floors for any questions, particularly in the room as well as online. So the Tourism Grading Council was established in 2000. So this year we're going to be 25 years, as the CQA was saying. She's the same age as the TGCSA. And the council has been mandated through the Tourism Act number 3 of 2014 to make sure that we develop and maintain grading schemes in terms of which your tourism facilities, services and products are graded and classified. As per the mandate, we are supposed to be quality assuring the entire tourism key chain. However, due to capacity constraints, we are currently quality assuring your accommodation and the conference venue, same products that we're currently in today, with the intention of now ensuring that as we move into the years, we then also create criteria and quality standards for the entire value chain. With the grading review or the grading criteria review process is currently in place, we are now going to also add visitor attractions and experiences. Okay, and as we move along in the years to come, if I can call it long-term approach, will be now us looking at restaurants as well as your tour operators, to just name a few. Our vision as the council is to be an internationally recognized, credible, and predictable brand that stands for quality as well as enriched tourist experiences. We do this by strengthening the SA tourism brand in implementing this recognizable, credible, globally benchmarked system of quality assurance for all the tourism experiences that can be relied upon. So I'm just going to give you a snippet into what makes Tourism Grading Council in the form of capacity. The functions that you see that are in blue are specifically for the Tourism Grading Council. I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but within the organization, we are a business unit of South African tourism, and we are often referred to as Program 5, being visitor experience, because we are the forefront and we deal with a lot of products, right? And the blocks that you see in red are those now that speaks to the SAT functions of how then do we market ourselves as a preferred destination of choice. I will just touch on the various functions within Tourism Grading Council before I move on to the SAT functions. Now, we've got quality assurance and development within the functions, and this is Knox. She spearheads the team, and they are then responsible for the review of quality standards. We have committed to the sector that every 3 years we will be reviewing our grading criteria. That is now the process that we are currently under. As Bron mentioned, we've been throughout the country consulting extensively with you as the trade and industry, and as well as our associated partners within the industry as such. We will now, through this process, be going out to Government Gazette. So I urge you to please make your inputs should you have not been part of the grading criteria workshops that we had throughout the country. So over and above that, Knox also has the speed marketing. I'm not sure whether you've joined us at these strategic events, platforms such as your ATI or Meetings Africa, which is in 2 weeks' time. So we will also have speed marketing sessions led by Knox's team, who then engage with the industry and ensure that hosted buyers are within the room. But I will explain that as part of the benefits later into the presentation. As mentioned, Knox is also responsible for the training of the assessors, the CATSITA accredited assessors, as well as developing programs within the industry, such as the workshops that we have quarterly across the country, and then capacitating your tourism officials or authority, as well as products, on the actual quality assurance processes. And then I will move on to the National Quality Assessment Team, which is led by myself and my in the room, in total, I've got 5 provincial quality assurance specialists that are located throughout the country. So they then oversee the specific regions that they are operating within, as well as then supervising the pool of assessors. If I can just ask Rutabile and Sean to stand up so that we can put some names and faces to these roles. So they then oversee the assessors. Sean oversees Free State and Northern Cape, and Ritabile sees Limpopo and Mpumalanga. As part and parcel of the team, we also have assessors, 50 in total. Can I just please request the assessors to stand up so that we all are aware in terms of any queries that we might have with regards to quality assurance, who we can then liaise with during the event or after the event. As mentioned previously, they are CATSITA accredited, and we make sure that in order to fulfill your establishment needs, they give you the correct support and guidance when they come and now quality assure your establishment and your products. They are located throughout the country. There is no place that they are not there. If they are not there, we make sure that we recruit accordingly and have people present in all the provinces. Thank you, ladies. You can sit down. And then we have Quality Protection Manager. Currently acting in that position is Ritabile. And the main responsibility of the subdivision is, number one, they issue and produce your plaques. So the plaques that you've seen being displayed with a category and a star is part and parcel of the responsibilities of this team. But more importantly, they have a feedback channel where you then have, as either a client or as an establishment, have an open two-way communication with us, be it through compliments, complaints, suggestions. So Rita and her team will ensure that we then attend to those. And they also try and curb, as Tony mentioned, illegal advertising, because once you've cancelled your membership, you shouldn't then be displaying the stars as such. So within the team, as I've mentioned, we've also got the brand experience team, and theirs really is to ensure they go and seek out new offerings, new products throughout the country that will then serve to market us as a destination, obviously providing people with diverse products and attractions and experiences to get to experience what we have to offer as a destination. So Eileen heads up that team, and theirs also is to fulfill South African tourism's hosting needs, whether we've got hosted buyers or media coming to our shows to get to experience what we have to offer as a destination. And moving on to the next function, we've got the visitor experience team. I don't know if you've met Debbie, she's just quickly stepped out of the room. And theirs is to enable the travel trade and associated partners to deliver world-class, warm, friendly, and efficient services to tourists, basically from your ports of entry to the various tourism touch points within the destination. And then lastly but not least, we've got the global trade team, and their main responsibility is to foster proactive and collaborative engagements between the organization and stakeholders within the aviation and cruise industries in order to promote South Africa as a lucrative destination. So, what does grading entail? I would like to mention that grading is a voluntary process, right? So the intention would have to be there from the product or establishment to want to grade, particularly because of the benefits that it entails and exposes you to. We expect you to renew on a yearly basis. So as soon as you've graded, you've got a 12-month validity period, and you will then, much like your gym membership, will have to renew in order to stay within the grading scheme as such. So what I'm going to outline is the process from the beginning to the end of what exactly happens when one has to be graded. So as Tempinkosi outlined, you'll have to get onto our website, which is tourismgrading.co.za. and you'll have to submit an application. We do not take applications through telephones, through email, faxes, or anything else. It will have to be online, right? And once that application has been submitted, it gets pre-approved by myself. And under normal circumstances, you will then have to receive an invoice that has to be settled by yourselves before an assessor can come out to grade your property or your establishment as such. So the assessor, because it's being voluntary and this now is a collaboration and a partnership, will have to ensure your availability when they get to the site, because it's quite a process that entails them applying the actual criteria with what you've got to offer. So when I say criteria, we look at issues, or we look at elements such as the exterior. What is the building looking like? What are the gardens and grounds looking like, right? And then we also quality assure the public areas where you'll find people, be it reception areas, be it your dining facilities and whatnot. We also look at that. We look at your bedrooms where applicable, which obviously wouldn't be applicable within a conference venue. And then we look at your bathrooms. And then we look at the entire general services that you've got to offer, be it food and beverage, be it housekeeping. We go through those touch points within your establishment to apply this criteria as such. When the assessor is there, they will spend a considerable amount of time, obviously taking you through the core requirements that you have to fulfill. And before then they walk away, they would have given you a recommendation of what they've seen in terms of, are you operating in the correct category? Do you have those facilities and services? Second of all, then they will also then, agree with the star grading level that you've applied for, and they will give this to you in the form of a visit report. And they will then identify areas of strengths, areas of weaknesses, and improvement areas that you would then need to implement in order to get the required star grading level that you wish for. After they've paid you a visit, they will then develop a report, particularly for head office, because at head office we have what we call a monthly property approval executive committee, which sits every month and reviews all the assessments that would have been submitted by the assessor. But before they get to the committee, they would have passed by the provincial quality assurance specialists, who then would do what we refer to as pre-screening to make sure that certain documents are in place that the assessors collected during the visit, and that will then agree to the category and star grading level that they've applied for. Then after that is submitted, we then have a meeting, which normally takes place mid-month of every month, where we then approve or fail some of the properties that did not meet the necessary core requirements. Upon the completion of this meeting, we then approve it and close it, and then you as the establishment will then receive a certificate, a digital certificate, as well as a plaque that then enables you to display it for your clients to know and understand what category and stars that you have been accredited with. So that is the actual regular process. But for the free February promotion, obviously there won't be an invoice that requires payment. As and when we've now completed your application process, you'll be given a zero invoice, and with just an email and notification letting you know that somebody from TGCSA is going to be in contact with you in the form of an assessor, obviously scheduling a suitable time and date to meet for them to take you through the actual core requirements. So what I will go into right now are the core requirements and the definitions that we have within the various categories within those core requirements. So in total, we've currently got 7 categories, right? And I will then go into each and every one of them, as well as the definitions of the subcategories. So formal accommodation refers to any establishment that would have an on-site representative who's contactable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They need to have daily servicing of rooms, be it in the form of housekeeping or cleaning services. They would need to have bathroom facilities which are en suite, and where applicable, any meals and beverages will need to be provided. Within the formal accommodation, we've got 4 subcategories. The first one is being a hotel, much like the venue that we are in, as we are aware that there's the accommodation part of it and then the conferencing part of it. So a hotel is an establishment that provides accommodation with full or limited service to the traveling public and has a minimum. It has to have a minimum of 10 rooms. This type of accommodation has a reception area to receive and greet guests, as well as check them out, as well as offer dining facilities in the form of breakfast, your lunch, dinner, as well as your room service. Second to that, we have what we call a small hotel. I think the name says it all, right? So it has to have a maximum of about 80 rooms, but just like the hotel, it provides accommodation with full or limited services to the traveling public, and they also have a reception area and dining facilities. Then we have what we call a boutique hotel. If it can just be noted that this is the only boutique category or reference that we have. I mean, one gets to see boutique guest houses, boutique B&Bs. We only have a boutique hotel and nothing else. And what then defines it is that it's a small hotel that achieves a 4 or 5-star grading level. And the distinction between the two that I've already outlined is that each room is designed and decorated differently. So the one room can't be the same to the next room, right? So if ever you see a boutique hotel that's 1, 2, or 3 that is not aligned to our criteria, it would only have been an establishment who is either a 4-star or a 5-star. And then lastly, we have what we call apartment hotels. And these establishments provide accommodation with full or limited service to the traveling public and also has a minimum of 10 rooms. They have a reception area and they also offer dining facilities. However, each room would then have a kitchenette and a dining area to enable, obviously, the traveler or the client the ability to actually prepare their own meals if particularly they're staying longer. We've got, the likes of the Capital. They have been graded as apartment hotels. Okay. And then I'm going to just outline the guest accommodation category. This is the second category. And this now ensures that accommodation is provided in a house, renovated house, or specifically designed building, and it includes the provision of breakfast. So during our road shows, we had some fun quick quizzes, as particularly to what the definitions are, and what most people would have come up with, well, the definition or the difference between a guest house and a bed and breakfast. The funny and quite consistent response that we are getting, Knox, was that a guest house doesn't really need to provide breakfast, whereas a bed and breakfast will have to provide a breakfast. No, that's not the actual distinction. So a bed and breakfast is accommodation provided in a home with the host living in the house or on the property. That is the distinction. So the guest is sharing the facilities with the actual host, be it the dining area, be it the lounge, and so forth. This accommodation establishment would need to provide breakfast, much as the name says, bed and breakfast. A guest house is also provided in a house, renovated or specifically designed building, and includes the provision of breakfast. And the public areas are for the exclusive use of the guest. Okay. Now, we lastly then have a country house, which is provided in a house, renovated house, or specifically designed building. And it includes the provision of breakfast and dinner. And the public areas are for the exclusive use of guests. But the distinction then here becomes that it needs to be located in natural, peaceful surroundings. Okay. And then I will outline the self-catering category, which then provides guests with sole occupancy of the unit, consisting of one or more bedrooms and bathrooms, and a self-contained living area, including a kitchen, dining area, or a lounge. We've got two subcategories within self-catering. The first one is shared, meaning that it's multiple self-catering accommodation units located on one property with shared public facilities. So it will be the sharing of your recreational facilities, such as your swimming pools, your restaurants, and any other facilities, bra areas, lapas, and so forth, that will then be shared amongst the guests. I can make a typical example. If you've heard of your Forever Resorts, that is what then will probably accredit them as self-catering shared. And then we have a self-catering exclusive, which means one or more exclusive self-catering units with no or very limited shared public facilities. So when we're saying very limited, it could be within that block of apartments, there is a reception, maybe even a lounge area and a restaurant. However, the entire of the other units will be for the sole exclusive use of the guest. Okay. And then I will then outline the backpackers and hosteling, which is an accommodation facility that provides social and communal guest facilities, including dormitories and or private rooms. And then these establishments cater for travelers, only for travelers, right? I think we just needed to do that distinction, particularly when it comes to your likes of student residences as such, who would not be using it for a leisure purpose or a business purpose as such. So in terms of hostels and backpackers, as I've mentioned, that is the definition thereof. And then we have, as the fifth category, we have caravan and camping. And caravan and or camping facility will then provide space for guests to provide their own accommodation, such as a tent, a motorhome, or a caravan. And there should be then communal ablution facilities provided for the duration of the stay, have a communal kitchen, a laundry, recreational facilities, as well as amenities. And we do say that a self-catering, establishment can be provided on site as well. That is really just outlining in terms of campsites that would be almost like your pitch, and where you will then obviously have your caravan or mobile home placed, and should you wish now to also put up a tent, that now if anybody is offering caravan and camping facilities, that now will be the expectation of what will be available on site for you. Then we have my favorite category number 6, which speaks to game and nature lodges. So a game, nature, or wilderness lodge is an accommodation facility located in natural surroundings beyond that of an immediate garden area and obviously away from human settlements. In addition to that, the guest should have reasonable probability of seeing and experiencing game, particularly for a game lodge. For the mere fact of being a game lodge, one will expect that those experiences include viewing and seeing wildlife while during your stay, unless the animals are deciding to hide. And then in terms of the nature lodge, it's, as I've said, it needs to be surrounded within flora and fauna. And, you need to also offer at least one guided experience or activity for your guests. So the game lodge, I think I've outlined, speaks to wild animals being accessible to guests, and then the nature lodge, including also your nature reserves. And then the last category, we used to refer to it as MEES, which was meetings, exhibitions, and special events. However, we felt that within this category, there's quite some different offerings. Therefore, with the review of the 2019 criteria, we reconfigured it to look like this. So a hotel conference venue would be one within a hotel, right? And obviously the hotel needs to have a reception area and also offer dining facility. And the meeting facilities should also be able to accommodate 50 or less people. And it's normally then graded separately from the accommodation, because when we get to that, we look at your issues such as what has it got to offer to fulfill conferences and events being held within that particular space. Speaking to your audiovisual facilities, the actual various meeting rooms that are there, or such. And then we've got a conference venue, which is a facility it's not linked to an accommodation, but it's a standalone facility with a dedication to meetings, especially small to medium size events. And it would then also have meeting and breakaway rooms, which is then designated for maximum productivity, particularly for the attendees of that particular conference. Then we have your conventional exhibition venue, such as the Sandton ICC, which is a large conference center, typically including a variety of different venues, such as your auditoriums, exhibition space, your halls, your meetings, conference, and boardrooms, and so on. Then we have what we call an events venue. It's basically either an indoor or outdoor multi-purpose facility designed for hosting an event, such as for sports, for concerts, religious events, and any other, such as baby showers and so forth. Then we have what we call a historical venue, which would have historical and heritage value, or a landmark that has been adapted to host a special event, be it your gallery or a city hall or a museum such as the Voortrekker Museum or a castle, and so forth. And then lastly, we have what we call a function venue, and this is a venue that provides a space for smaller special events. I don't expect you to grasp and remember all of these definitions. However, they are available on the website. You can just download the criteria, and it will then give you, the correct definitions and what requirements you need to meet in order to be able to be accredited within the space. So this is just a snippet of the look and feel of the quality standards, right? And as I mentioned, some of the criteria or elements that we look at is your exterior. I don't know if this has a pointer, but it will then tell you that if you're operating within a hotel, you need to make sure that these are the things that you have. A small hotel is what is expected, as well as an apartment hotel. And there's obviously a not applicable option in some instances because not everybody will have valet services. But to the right is then, it tells you what do you need to fulfill for a 1-star, for a 2-star, 3 and 4, all the way up to 5. So when then an assessor will come through, they need to check, first of all, is it there? Is it in place? And then they secondly check what is the quality of whatever is there for them to be able to score them accordingly. So I think the example just speaks to your parking. Obviously, you need to have provision of fit-for-purpose parking areas, directional signage, well-maintained parking areas, well-lit parking areas, and so forth. Now, there are certain situations where when an assessor gets there, they may find that you don't have a certain requirement in place. I'll make an example with an in-room safe. We do require some of the star grading levels to have an in-room safe, right? Perhaps 2 out of the 7 rooms that the assessor would have seen does not have a safe. So you can be afforded more time to get that safe for you to be accredited as such. We refer to that as a grace period, and we can give it to you as much as 6 months to say you've been given 3 months to make sure that you put safes in the 2 rooms without them. So the other exemption or special cases that we look at is perhaps you are unable to fulfill the core requirements of that special category. I'll make an example, for other star grading levels, we require that there be a separate shower and a separate bath, perhaps due to the building that you have now bought or adopted. There is not space for you to be able to do so. So we will then give you a dispensation saying that we are exempting you for that core requirement. So there are certain avenues where, through partnership, obviously working together, we can allow you to be accredited with these 2 exemptions, right? And what now I'm going to take you through is the accolades. These were introduced with the 2019 review process. And it's almost, we call it a badge of honor, particularly for those products that offer or cater for niche markets. We've got a total of 17 accolades, and they then each speaks to the product offerings of that establishment. And it also then obviously means there's been an achievement of certain distinguishing features, right? So each accolade would either have 3 or 5 requirements, right? With the exception of the responsible tourism requirement, which entails us, looking at various touch points or elements within, responsible practices, such as your water, waste management, energy, and so forth. The responsible tourism accolade has about 15, and with these accolades, it's all or nothing. You won't be given a grace period or a dispensation. It's either you meet it or you don't. So should you then have applied for it, the assessor, upon assessing your establishment, will check that the necessary core requirements within these accolades are there for them to recommend it, that you get it as well. I think another point that I just wanted to mention is that I will go through almost all of them, just to give you a view of what they look like. However, they are also available on the website should you then wish to see those actual code requirements. The important point that I forgot was, you can't have an accolade alone. So it's normally complemented, or it complements the actual criteria. And I know some people are like, oh no, I've got facilities speaking to wine tourism, so can you give me? When an assessor gives you an accolade, it will be in line with the quality criteria that I just touched on previously. Okay. So I've touched on the sustainability and responsible tourism accolade. I will just quickly touch on a few. I'm choosing family friendly. So the core requirements within, if you have a family friendly accolade, it means there's a dedicated children's play area, there is babysitting services, there's cots available on request, there's a children's menu at, be it your restaurant or the main food outlets that you have within your establishment. There is a family room or units available. It could be one room interleading to the other. There are baby changing facilities within the public areas, and there is obviously more than one children's TV network. I'm not sure about you, but Cocomelon in our house is like the standard channel, so it has to be just more than that one channel, be it Cartoon Network, so that the kids are also entertained during their stay. I think it's also important to add that within the process of the grading criteria review, we've also collected a few suggestions. Why don't we then add something like gastronomy, because we see that as an emerging trend. We've seen, suggestions being made about halal as well. So we'll definitely, with the new set of criteria, would have added a few accolades as per the suggestions made by industry. Okay. Then we've got pet friendly, having 3 requirements. We've got wedding venue, golf tourism, we've got cycling, water sports, off-road activities, equestrian, we've got your likes of hiking and birding, hunting, and we have resorts. I can park here because we just came from Cape Town, being a wine destination. So for a wine tourism accolade, we require that it be located on a working wine farm. There needs to be a wine cellar available, obviously giving the client a variety of what is available on offer. And the establishment must offer wine tasting services, right? I think suggestions have been made that we can enrich this accolade with perhaps having a sommelier. It goes without saying that the wine tasting experience should allow that or ensure that, but that is definitely something worth considering so that we put it explicitly as possible. Then we have the spa and beauty, holistic wellness, because what we've seen, particularly post-COVID, is that most people want to break away and, get to switch off from the world and such. So I think it couldn't have come at a greater time that we introduced the holistic wellness accolade, because then we have quite a few establishments that we see now being introduced that offer just holistic wellness as such. We've got medical tourism, and then lastly we've got responsible tourism as I initially outlined. Then we have the universal accessibility criteria over and above the quality criteria that are outlined, right? This criteria was introduced in 2016 through a collaboration with the Department of Tourism, associated partners such as your TPCSA and your FEDASAs, where then we sat and we came up with certain requirements that would need to be in place in order for the products and establishments to cater with people of various or who have various limitations, right? Currently, we have about 126 UA compliant properties across the country. A majority of those are located within Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and Gauteng, which is obviously a mirror of where the majority of our database is sitting. However, the feedback that we've received since the implementation of that criteria is that it is quite stringent. So with the review process, which is underway, we set aside one day where we also had industry and different associations which assist or are advocates for certain disabilities. We're part and parcel of those conversations. And we then re-looked at certain UA core requirements that can easily be adopted within the quality criteria, and which then can allow, certain establishments to start meeting those core requirements that are in place. The easy house, such as your ramps, ensuring that they're ramps. But I think the most of it is how then do we also ensure that we have staff, if you don't have those facilities, who are able to assist, should then somebody also visit your establishment who has these limitations. Just as Bron said, the guest house that we were at Durbanville, they haven't been UA graded, but they've made a very considerable amount of effort of putting ramps, ensuring that the bedroom doors are enlarged to allow somebody with a wheelchair on. They have a wheelchair available for the use of clients. So it's those little things that we can achieve without spending too much capex to make sure that we also consider, accommodating for this traveling segment as well. So within the UA grading criteria, we've got three, criterion. The first one is mobility grading, and it refers to the accessibility grading for individual with physical limitations, right? We've got communication grading, and this refers to the accessibility grading for individuals with audio and cognitive limitation. And then lastly, we've got visual grading, which speaks to individuals with sight limitations. As opposed to the quality criteria being 1 to 5, we've only got level 1 to 3. Level 1 means there are certain facilities that are compliant, right, within your establishment. So we'll then give you a level 1, be it for mobility, visual, or communicative. You don't need to have all three of them. You can decide that you want to have level 1, mobility, speaking to lowered counters, ramps, wheelchair-friendly rooms, allowing people the ease of access within your facilities as well. And then there's level 2, which means the facilities that you have are achieved at a very good standard. And then lastly, we've got level 3, which is your whistles and your bells, meaning you have made sure that your facilities and services can cater for people with various limitations when they come and visit your place. This is how the UA grading plaque looks like. Obviously one that we will produce if you are UA compliant, and it just shows the mobility, the visual, and the communicative, and then it will say whether you are level 1, level 2, or level 3. What is in it for me? That's the question that we normally get. But thanks to Dumi, Tembinkosi, and CQAO, they've made this section of the presentation much more seamless. But I think, if anything, Dumi is a testimony of the plethora of opportunities that then become available for you as a graded tourism product, right? It's such partnerships that you can then benefit from as part of being the graded family, right? So we have currently, through our partnership or collaboration with the Department of Tourism, we have what we call a tourism grading support program. And this program now provides financial assistance to tourism products in terms of your grading fees, provided that you meet this criteria. It is as per the legal requirements of the funding objectives, and one would have to have a BBBE certificate or sworn affidavit in the case of being exempted. Second to that, we will need to ensure that your tax is up to date. So we ask for a valid SARS tax clearance certificate, because you're also accommodating a third party, being clients or guests. We'll need to ensure that you have a public liability insurance document or have it in place. This is also part and parcel of our statutory of being graded, that you need to have a public liability insurance. Fourthly, we then also ask you for relevant business registration document. So if you have all of these, you then get 80% off of your grading fee, right? However, if you are also a TOMSA levy payer, contributor, you then get an additional 10%, meaning that you only then need to settle the 10%. I'm giving you this as an outline, obviously, of the benefits of being graded. This program, the Tourism Grading Support Program, is still in place, particularly for those establishments that don't meet the requirements of the free February promotion. So if you're a renewal or rejoin, you still have access to funding in the form of the Tourism Grading Support Program, right? And the other program that we have through the Department of Tourism is your Greener Tourism Incentive Program, which looks to solar energy use. Obviously, you get the assistance through grants in order to now make sure that your establishments and your facilities are able to fully operate in cases of load shedding, right? So that is just but a few. But I don't know if you recall during COVID that we even, extended funding programs such as the Tourism Relief Funding Program. So there really is benefit to grading, because when we now have these engagements with funding sponsors, we ensure that we prioritize graded establishments. Okay. So the other opportunities and benefits of grading, there are many. I won't even be able to go through all of them all in one take, but I will outline, the most and the regular that you probably see. You probably would have heard of the domestic team, the short-lived team. So being a graded member means you can register online to upload your deals, so that even when we have what we call Travel Week in the month of September, you are first and foremost considered as part of the deals that then get marketed on the short deals package website. Okay. Over and above that, we've got speed marketing sessions. As I said, that's a function within Knox's team, and it's a platform where new and existing products can expand into markets, right? You would have in the audience your tour operators, your hosted buyers, your media, who will then give you that market exposure to enable you to expand on your business and make sure that you are catering to the needs of the traveling sector as such. The speed marketing concept obviously came from speed dating. So you as a product will stand up in front, tell the audience on what your product has to offer, and they then consider that for their itineraries. So we also do this at Africa Travel Indaba, Meetings Africa, but we also work hand in hand with provinces so that when we do our provincial quality assurance workshops, we bring the speed marketing team on site with hosted buyers so that it gives you an opportunity to market your offerings as such. We've got what we call the visitor experience team, ensures that, constantly we do welcome training, what we call welcome training. So she will go to your ports of entry, be it borders and be it airports, and go and train the officials within that respective regions to be spreading the word of being a warm, friendly, efficient destination. So at any point in given time, Debbie across the provinces will hold these seminars and workshops, and we will also call people from the hospitality sector, some that would not have perhaps received training or studied for hospitality and tourism, but now also empower them on how to become warm, friendly, and make sure that we welcome our clients and our guests in a meaningful manner. And before I go on, I think, there's been quite a lot of benefits being outlined. The assessor team are part of those benefits. You will then get exposure to someone who's very knowledgeable, who's been trained to guide you on how to operate your business. They've been CATSITA accredited. Every year, we have an assessor conference where we train them on certain experts that will enable businesses to operate very successfully. We share trends with them so that when they also come to your product and establishment, they're able to tell you, Tembingosi, instead of the pine furniture, how about we move to, this is what we're seeing happening now as far as deco is concerned. We see you still maybe using outdated, chairs or outdated menus. Let me assist you. So there is that partnership and hand-holding experience that you will get through the assessor team. Okay. So I'm now just going to touch on the illegal advertising or the use of our insignia. So once you are cancelled, you cannot, I think Tony did stress it, you cannot be advertising as being graded, because that is misleading to the client, misleading to also your trade industry partners. So we would then, upon cancellation, request you to take down your plaque, don't display your plaque, and don't put any stars on your marketing collateral, be it cards, be it letterheads, because you are now creating an expectation that you have kept or maintained your standards. However, we may see that you probably fell out of the grading scheme a few years ago, meaning you see value in grading. So we ask you to please renew so that you are still within the system and obviously can take advantage of the benefits that I've outlined. There is a fine if you are caught illegally advertising, and obviously we work together with your SAPS within that region to also assist us in processing that fine as such. But make things easier on your end and just renew in order now to take full advantage of what being graded means. Okay. So this is my last segment of the presentation, and it then speaks to how then can you take advantage of the free February promotion that's currently in place up until the end of February. So as I've said, you can only submit an application online. So you will have to get online. This is just the look and feel of what our website looks like. You will go to Get Graded, Apply Now, and then it will ask of you to provide certain establishment details that we need in order that we have an existing profile on the grading management system, and we can also continue to communicate with you through your grading journey, right? So I'm not going to go into step one, from step one all the way to 5. It's fairly simple. It's your establishment details. Where can we deliver your plaque? Who do we get in contact with if we need to communicate with you or your property? And we'll then also ask you, for your email, so that makes things easier for us, right? So I think what is important is so I've skipped all these steps, speaking to what I've just said. And then when you get to step 6, that is then where you have to indicate your interest of being part and parcel of the promotion, provided that you have never ever been graded before. And if you have, you have lapsed over 3 years, okay? We are looking particularly, because during the time of COVID, we understand that some people converted, the establishments back to residential dwellings, but perhaps now, they have found the time to want to revive that operation. So when we say over 3 years, it was through that we are wanting to accommodate those members that we may have had falling out of the system during COVID. Now, if I may just also touch upon, because this is a question I also had in the previous session, of how do you come to the fees, right? So the first one is on the website, there is a cost estimate calculator that you can use to get an idea of what your fees look like. Remember, the fees are just once off, right? You don't have to pay them every month. We will invoice you once off, give you the 12 months validity period for you to then renew in the next year. So we have an algorithm which basically looks at 3 variables. It looks at your category. What category are you operating as? Those whole definitions that I gave you, you'll have to choose. Is it a bed and breakfast? Is it a guest house, right? The second variable we look at is your room units. How many room units do you have? Is it 1 to 3, all the way up until whatever, how many rooms you have? And then the last one is the average room rate. How much do you charge per room per night? Okay, but we are only wanting just per room. So if your room's going rate is 3,000, then you'll say 3,000 a night. Okay. If you are joining us for the first time, there's an administration joining fee of 295, plus now the grading fee. And the grading fee works on an algorithm, provided you've given us these 3. So you won't find, or I will never tell you to say, for you to grade, it's just 3,500. I would need to know what these variables are for us to do that algorithm back end to give you an estimation of what your grading fee invoice will be as and when we then dispatch it to you. But for the month of February, and us giving you so much love, it's free. So when you get to this section of the process, application process, don't be dismayed. You just have to select that you are interested, and then you're just going to submit that, okay? So it comes straight through to me. I will then approve, and then you'll get a notification saying you have successfully been approved for application. It will give you a 0 invoice, and then you should be expecting a call from any of the assessors to whom I would have allocated to you. On that, there is a tab on the website that says Meet the Team, and then it will give you all the assessors and the provinces that they are located in. If perhaps you were approached by an assessor, then you will, when you're doing your application process, you will indicate which assessor that is. Or if you haven't allocated them, then I will allocate one to you based obviously of your location, where you're situated, so that I know that the assessors will attend to you as urgently as possible. Somebody asked me, how long does it normally take for one to have an assessor come over? as soon as possible. So once your 0 invoice has reached you, somebody will call you. If you now complete it now and approve it now, Trudy can come and conduct an assessment based on your availability, right? But on any other given day, normal day, and the normal processes then say you would have to first settle the outstanding balance of your invoice before an assessor can come over and pay you a visit. Okay. So that brings me to the last of my slides. I think worth noting is our contact details. We are obviously contactable through the various social platforms. However, the most important email address that you would want to get is feedback@tourismgrading.co.za, and be it any queries, suggestions, and whatever, please feel free to reach out to the team. We are also here. I'm more than happy to give you my contact details, but the assessors are also here who will then also assist you should you have any matters or queries relating to quality assurance. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Colleagues, I think there you have it. It's quite comprehensive. Those who have not interacted with this process before, now you know what to do and also to share with your other colleagues. We're going to, before we get into questions, I would like you to have a leg stretch so that we can have maybe tea, coffee quickly, and then when we come back, then we deal with questions and comments and inputs, and then we'll take it from there until we get to the lunch. So you can we just have a leg stretch for about, is 15 minutes generous? Okay. All right, 15 minutes. That will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is 15 minutes generous? Okay. All right, 15 minutes. That will. Thank you. But we just want to get on to the Q&A session now. All the questions are directed to this side, not to me, but that side. They have all your answers. So I think you have seen the presentation. It was quite comprehensive with all the details of how we go about doing the whole grading process, and also in relation to this promo that we are running of free grading. So I'm now, since we have done all the talking in the morning, now it is your turn. And I'm not accepting no questions. Everybody has got a question or an input. So I'm going to put, if I don't see any hands, I'm going to put any of you on the spot. Because there is a question somewhere. So, and it doesn't have to be questions, colleagues. We know, as Nelly said earlier on, that we ran a grading review process, with across all the provinces late last year, where we are also reviewing the grading because, things evolve. We have seen COVID. When COVID came, COVID gave us a new sort of a reflection. We reflected quite a lot during COVID, where I think COVID challenged us a lot to say, are we still going to do things the way we've been doing things, or are we going to change the way we do things if we want to see change? Because we know that with any activity or any incident, then you start looking at your operations, you start looking at your product, whether it's meeting the current needs. And I think COVID was a good platform where, we had to look at ourselves and reflect and really start thinking about a new tourist that is going to emerge post-COVID. And we have seen there's been change across the board. I can give one example. During COVID, I think in 2020 when there was a lockdown for 21 days, remember guys, it was supposed to be 21 days. And it ended up being how many months later or a year? We were all like, okay, 21 days will come and go. And then we were cooked up in our houses. And throughout that process, we started having meetings virtually, which was also not ideal, especially where we operate in the tourism sector. We like to meet, we like to, have those engagement. And then we end up having to be on Zoom. Zoom became I think those guys, they make a lot of money during COVID, I must indicate. And also, it was very difficult, although it was a new normal, that got introduced by COVID. But I think it sort of made everybody miss the personal touch, because we even coined a phrase at that time that, we would really like to come out of the Zoom into the room, because we've been in the Zoom and we all wanted to be in the room with everybody. So, but essentially, really, I think what happened, we then had to find ways of how we even can incorporate your hybrid, there's words that really emerged during COVID, hybrid now. Okay, can we have a hybrid model? When the president then announced, I think it was June of the same year, where they okay, we are now going to ease regulations. Now you can travel. Because remember, you were not even allowed to travel outside of your province. And the regulation were eased. And guess what happened when everybody now got an opportunity to get out of the room? It was so amazing that we started to see a totally new tourist, especially the domestic, because obviously international was still locked. There were no international tourists coming in. We started to see the whole outdoor activity becoming huge. I mean, some of us who have never even did hiking, I tell you, suddenly the hiking, those retailers who were selling hiking clothes, they made money because suddenly you started seeing people hiking outdoor activity because people have been cooked up and they just wanted to have that fresh air, Drakensberg, Magaliesberg, and all those, so you started to see a new tourist emerging because largely domestic, we know domestic tourism, they, especially around summertime, they prefer your coastal, just to get a sense of the coast. And then, yes, you will get now and again safari here and there, but largely people prefer your coastal. But I tell you, that year we saw a lot of outdoor activities, coming through. So all I'm saying is that I think it sort of gave us a sense of where we're heading post-COVID. You're going to see now people immersing themselves more into the destination than just going to a destination, just viewing, but it's more about engaging with the destination. Which means if you are an accommodation establishment, then you only focus on receiving your people for your accommodation. You also needed to think, to say, okay, what more can I do to give them more than just accommodation experience? And it is where now you start partnering with your other role players within your area where you say, how can we build an ecosystem that can get people out of their rooms and also just to experience some of the things and coming back? Now, I'm mentioning this part as well, going back to an earlier statement around G20. So, over and above just getting you prepared and getting you ready from a quality assurance perspective, but also there's another dimension. When G20 gets hosted, because there's going to be a whole lot of accommodating people especially during the main meeting in November. When I was in KZN, and I always tell the story, when I was in KZN, we went and bid for one of the big conferences called World Routes. So World Routes is about aviation industry globally. So it's an annual meeting where the global players meet. This is where, issues of aviation gets discussed, from route development to new destination, airlines choosing new destination to expand their networks. Basically, all the route developers in the aviation industry meet. All the destinations meet as well to ensure that your destination is ready for new airlines to come through, direct connectivity. Policymakers are in the room as well because, for any airline to fly to any country, there has to be those, regulations, but also licenses to fly, and also some of the licenses that extend beyond your borders. What we call your fifth freedom. When you think about, an airline coming in, having to pick up people and fly across. So those are some of the things that gets discussed at aviation industry. Now, when we did that, we won the bid to host it for the first time in Africa. That was in 2015, and I'm privileged to have been part of the team that were also lobbying and also being part of the project. Now, what we did, because we realized this is a big meeting, it's an Africa meeting for the first time in Africa, but also the country was sort of instrumental in hosting it. So within the scope of that event, we then brought all the role players on board to say, okay, guys, there's this big meeting coming. It's all the aviation industry, airlines globally, so there'll be over probably 5,000 delegates coming from, global space. We want you to be part of this journey. So as part of us organizing, especially for hotels, and I'm going to mention hotels and, accommodation, we then selected also, there was a process of selecting what we call official hotel partners for that conference. So when you were selected, where you were playing in that role, you had an opportunity for the shuttle service for that to pass by your hotel. So you were part of the network. So, during the conference, people will get free shuttles to the venue and back to the hotel. So you were also part of the ecosystem for the event. But over and above that as well, we ensured that all the hotels that were selected as part of the network for the event, we made available toolkits so that we give you toolkits to understand what is World Routes about, so that when you receive your visitors, you are able to engage meaningfully with them, not necessarily just to welcome them to your establishment, but just to also get a sense of, okay, where are you coming from? Oh, you're here for the World Routes. Yeah, we understand you guys are discussing important things, So it was more about equipping you with information. And it's something that we are looking at doing for G20 as well, so that people don't just throw this G20 thing. And G20 is easy to remember, but what does it mean for anybody? Whether for a community person or a business, do you understand what it means for you? So those are some of the things that we really want to introduce as part of the G20, so that when you start receiving the people coming through during the meeting, you are able to engage meaningfully with your guests. So with those few words, now I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to now give you an opportunity to really give your inputs or some questions related to the presentation, or any other speakers who came before Nellis or so that we can just engage. Thank you very much. Then it's up to you. Hands. Okay. We have a hand at the back.
Hi, good morning. The name is Murad Ismail. I'm the CEO of the Amaro Group of Companies. In that group of companies, we have aviation, tourism, and we have hotel and lodge developments. So our products move across a wide spectrum. Close to my heart is rural tourism, and to create rural tourism, you need to have very small equipment. You cannot use a 747 or a 737 to land in a rural area. It's just not going to happen. And so we have to operate in a very challenging type environment to create products and packages, even for people visiting this country or even people that are in the country. It has to be made more affordable. And to do that, we have got a specific mechanism to do that. And that requires us to use smaller gauge aircraft that can land in very short runways. And some of these runways are like 250 to 400 meters short. So that's very short. Now, to do this, we find that there is a need to have, to actually engage with smaller lodges and bed and breakfast establishments and stuff like that. But the problem is they need to be graded. And the grading is expensive in terms of not the physical cost of the grading, but to get to a specific standard. So what we want to do is we want to be able to get right around the country, not necessarily only for the G20, hotels and lodges that can get ready for large-scale rural tourism. And there is a real need for this type of tourism. Even from the international community who's visited South Africa before, they now want to go further inland. And the mechanisms are not there to do this. Sometimes it can be as simple as a road that's got potholes that's maybe the size of 2 tires. And a good example is going from here to Newcastle, for example. You'll find there's potholes that can actually kill you. So you need to have air service that can operate there. Now, the air service on its own cannot do this because the cost is very high. So you need to find a mechanism where you blend the two, the accommodation value and the air value, and you blend it and you make it work. We are in that space. We can do this, and we are ready to open our doors to assist smaller operators to do that. And so that's why I'm glad that you have this incentive. My first question in terms of what I've just spoke about is there a possibility to extend this not only to February but to March maybe? Because maybe in February is a very short period. So if we can take this up with your executive to extend it to maybe March as well, so that we can reach more people around the country. And the second thing is, we want to make a standardized system where specific groups of people require very specific types of grading or facilities and amenities. So if you just do a generic grading, you might not get all your focus customers. So we can do this for focus groups. We can also do this, for example, school excursions. And school excursions is not a picnic. It's an educational type of activity. So we also have a company which we bought in 2023 during the lockdown, we bought a whale watching company that watches whales from the air. So we have that company, it's based in Cape Town, but we're going to be rolling those out right across the country. Wherever there's whales and dolphins and stuff like that, we'll be rolling those out there. For the inland people who don't have the whales and dolphins, we're looking at other kind of activities. For example, you can do ballooning. So we also got that, which we're developing. And as you rightly said, when you're in the aviation type sphere, you need specific licenses. And some of these licenses, you're waiting 3 years for them. So that's from 2011 right until now. Sorry, 2021, my apologies, 2021 up until now. And we got one or two now. We're waiting for a few more, and hopefully we can get those, and then we can expand this offering to everybody else. So if you need our assistance, please call on us. Thank you.
More hands? Let's take a few. Guys, I'm going to put you on the spot, trust me. Because I can see there are questions. I can see these questions. I can see them. So before I put you on the spot, because we are in dialogue here, it's not a monologue. So I'm going to put anybody on the spot. Before I do that, maybe let's tackle that question. But I think maybe before I give it to the team to answer specific questions around the grading, I just want to highlight something around the rural tourism. Yesterday, we had a long session with all the provinces and an association called South African Township and Villages Tourism Association, called SATOVITO. So, South African Township and Villages Tourism Association. So, SATOVITO's role in the bigger scheme of things, they have realized that when it comes to rural tourism and villages and townships, there isn't an organized approach to how we develop those setups. Now they've started to do this whole, they are represented all over the country. Their role is to make sure there's development that is driven. So they are an organized voice for development of rural tourism. So together yesterday we had a session with all the provinces highlighting the areas of enterprise development, but also just the development across the board. Because the key thing is we always talk about township tourism here, rural tourism, but when it's not well defined, what do we mean? At the end of the day is to make sure that the beneficiation or the benefits of tourism are also felt in those areas, because especially as I've indicated that since COVID, what happened is that you started to see a new tourist emerging. Even the international tourists, what they do, they want to go and experience an authentic experience in those villages. So it's no longer about an organized tour here, an organized tour there, but they want to go and mix with the locals and understand how, things are happening. So that is why we even have what we call homestays in villages where people just want to go and live there and experience. So those are some of the things that are coming through, and it's something that the international markets are looking for now, authentic experiences. So this team, I will link you up with them. You can have an engagement to see how you can work together with them as well. We are all working together to make sure that there is one voice on how we can develop. So I thought let me just highlight that most important thing in response to your first question. So the rest of the questions, I will give it to Bronwyn will take. Yeah. Thanks, Bronwyn. And on the licenses issue, please note that our Minister of Tourism has been fully engaging with the Department of Transport to unlock the issues of licenses, be it on the road licenses for tour operators and across the board. So there is that conversation that is happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishmael. Whilst everyone is percolating their questions in the room, please do. We want to engage. From a grading council perspective, thank you very much for firstly acknowledging that grading is the gateway to how we develop. We have piloted a program, and I'm saying actually it's beyond piloted, that Nokolo is responsible for here, called the Basic Quality Verification Program. It has rolled out in the Eastern Cape, it has rolled out in KZN, and it is imminent in Gauteng. And it is about acknowledging homestays. I will tell you for free that the new grading criteria that we are proposing for Government Gazette is taking it a step further and making and recommending that basic quality verification be part of all categories as we proceed into the future so we can develop our product. So it's a very exciting program for us, which has gained a lot of traction. We've seen brilliant case studies around this. So in Adelaide in the Eastern Cape, I don't know how well anyone in this room knows the Eastern Cape. It is a remote part of the Eastern Cape. There is a property that was BQV'd, as in basic quality verified, and within 2 years it became a 2-star graded small hotel. It's called Midgley's. The owner has been very clear in communicating to us that grading has been the key component to his success. So from being basic quality verified and being acknowledged into the tourism sector, they have been able to build their business more consistently throughout the course of the year, dealing with issues of seasonality, but also the idea of working with the grading council to assure the quality assurance has brought back repeat customers. So it's an important component of what we do, and thank you very much for acknowledging that. And then it's I think the gateway point is very important because it then makes it really easy for someone like a Tony to help people in the tourism sector with other issues. So route development or licensing and how we engage further in the more formal structures around the other matters that you raise for tourism development. So there are various national structures, there are various provincial and district structures. But when you are graded, it is easier to access those kinds of opportunities and conversations. And certainly through Tony, I'd recommend you take his number afterwards. There are other fora which you can then engage in to take up the other issues. I hope that helps. Thank you. Are there online questions, Red? Okay, Retabila is indicating the online questions. Or no?
Yeah, okay, we'll come back. Yeah, just hold it off for now. I just want to, maybe there was a question, I don't know if I missed it, around the extension.
Oh, the extension?
Yes.
Great observation. Thank you very much for that input. We will consider it. It's quite a big consideration, but encourage your colleagues to please register as quickly as possible. If you have networks that you would like us to go and see, let us know. So if we can fill our pipeline with contacts and people who will be there, we will certainly consider it. It is very hard for us, which is why we're doing this as a hybrid event, to get to every corner of the country. So we're trying to do hybrid. I know there are quite a few people online at the moment. When we were in the Western Cape, there were quite a few people online. We would love more than anything else to be in every corner of South Africa. But it sometimes can be a bit challenging from a traveling time perspective. But yes, I think if you've got smaller communities or you've got a district or a neighborhood that you'd like us to speak to, we have got scale through our PQSs and our assessors who can certainly attend to that. So, for example, we launched this initiative in the Western Cape. We then went to see a few properties. The following day, we were in the Stellenbosch district. and we were seeing different groups there too. So we're very happy to engage and make sure that everyone understands how to access the program. Like all things, supply and demand, let's see how we go. But just tell us where you'd like us to connect. And maybe, I think, coordinate that through Nelisiwe, and she and her team will then determine how we can make sure we reach every corner of South Africa as expediently as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Bronwyn. More questions? I will take your question. Yeah, for now. This way.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nisha. I'm the Deputy General Manager at Hampton by Hilton in Sandton. So we recently opened the 17th of December and just recently got graded by Trudy. So it was a very amazing experience. So thank you, Trudy, for that. We're very proud of our 4 stars. I actually got 3 questions, and my questions are based around mainly Tourism Grading Council. So my first question is, what sustainable practices does the Grading Council take into consideration when they are grading? My second question is, do you guys incorporate guest feedback when you guys are doing grading? So do you guys go online, have a look at our reviews that we get, or any hotels that have already been in the industry trading for a couple of years? Do you go through their reviews online and then base your decision off their reviews as well? And then my third question is, what emerging trends is the Tourism Grading Council seeing in the current market that us as hoteliers or people in the tourism sector should be preparing for? Thank you.
Thanks. Brilliant questions. Awesome. Maybe let's take other. I think there's one here. Here. You forgot. Okay, give. Maybe while she's remembering, maybe there's a hand. On your right. On your right. Yeah, there.
Everybody, my name is Cecilia. I'm representing a company called Twin Venture. We're an adventure company based in Cape Town. Thank you so much for having us. I'd like to know, since, we are not yet graded, but only like from our staff. So when will you guys start grading adventure activities? And what will the criteria be for that? Thank you.
Thank you. Another brilliant one. And then now she remembers.
Hi everyone, the name is Setzelwe Mthembu. I am a researcher by profession, but I'm also a travel content creator. I think it was really beautiful to be a part of this presentation because I do visit quite a number of establishments, and I think having the knowledge of how the places that I visit are graded, kind of what goes into it, I can have a more thorough and informed review of the places that I visit. I had similar questions and concerns as the gentleman back there. I'm also very passionate about rural tourism development and kind of what are our thoughts around getting the informal into the formal. Because I did see the list of criteria that's required, the documentation that's required, before one can even go through this process. So maybe if someone could comment on what are some of those plans for getting informal or unregistered or unrecognized establishments kind of into the system. And then a suggestion also for the accolades is for remote working friendly establishments. Just what are you, I don't know if you have any thoughts around that. And then where are these accolades visible? So are we able to, when we go onto an establishment's website, see what those accolades are? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think let's take another one.
I'm Good morning. Yes, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Glad Kaiser. I'm from Echelon House. So we're pretty much still fledgling. We're still new in the industry, and we're trying to familiarize ourselves as best as possible within the tourism industry. However, I do have a question, two, in fact. So one is the question of housing development, because we are primarily accommodation-based, focused. We still require a lot of development with our establishment, one being in Bedfordview, the other in Township in Soweto. So my question is, how do you guys work with programs such as Ekasi Development, for instance, with the Department of Housing, where they are helping township homeowners to revamp their places, and also extending this question towards like a Bedfordview setting, where we would require sort of like rezoning and maybe help assistance with, I guess, renovating the establishment. How could you then assist us in that instance? And how could you then tie in some of these programs that are already being offered by certain departments so that everything is aligned? And my last question has to do with the Tourism Equity Fund. I understand it's open. When does it close? That's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I think let me just answer a few. I'll tackle your questions, and then I'll answer part of your question before I give it to the team. So when it comes to development, the Department of Tourism is the responsible department, for development, because we are more on the demand side and they are on the supply side. So meaning there are programs that are in place already, especially in, so let's park the Tourism Equity Fund for now. There are some funds available at the department where they assist with your renovations, but also there's another fund called Tourism Green Fund. The Green Fund is where now you want to now go on the green side of things. Maybe you want to add your solar system, or you want to do stuff related to the green. So there is a Green Fund that you can apply for, and also there. I'm trying to remember this other fund for renovations, but there are funds. Equity Fund is so totally different. So what I'll find information. But what you can do on the Department of Tourism website, when you land on the first page, you will see on the side there will be those funds listed, and then you just click on there, and then you see the information will be there for you. So you can just, when you land on the page, the first page, Department of Tourism, you'll see those funds. On the issue of development, again, development of rural and development of that, there are other role players who are responsible for development. So at local level and provincial level, you have, let's say in the province, you'll have the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Some are structured differently. So those departments are responsible for ensuring development of local infrastructure. And then where we come in from a marketing perspective as SA Tourism. Our role is to provide insights from markets, because markets are dictating what they are looking for. We gather that information and then we share with role players to say, look, across the board, from UK, from Germany, from France, from wherever, these are the things that the market is looking for. So when you start thinking about development, always consider the demand, because we cannot just create things that are not, there hasn't been really enough research done in terms of whether what you are trying to develop, is it, meeting the demands, or is it meeting the current, demands. So that work we do from our end, and we provide insights. And then the departments and the local government, there are structures that we have, as Bronwyn has said earlier on. You can contact me afterwards. I can channel you to the relevant structures who are responsible for many other things. And the Department of Tourism is your best bet, because they run from tourism incentive programs to those funds to assist people to either renovate or extend. They provide those funds for that. And then, as I said again, from a broader development, we work with SALGA, we work with other structures, because they also, you must understand that at national, really we're more policy driven and more destination marketing as a broad thing. But the role players on the ground, when now we have done our flag waving, we have told people how beautiful we are, and then they must come and see the beauty of our country. We have made a promise. But you guys are there now. You now meet the expectation, because we have told people how beautiful we are, which means now you have to meet those expectations from what we have already said. So that is why it's important for us to collaborate, that whatever that we say, you will be able to fulfill, because you are the fulfilling parties on the ground. So which means, every time we have conversations like this, especially the structures that I will share with you at national level, in the room you will get those departments and other people. So we have what we call National Tourism Sector Forum. So this is now where we bring all the role players, from Department of Home Affairs to Department of Transport to Department of Police. Those are the enablers for our sector, because remember, we can go and say we are doing our destination marketing. But then when the people want to travel to South Africa, they don't have visas, the visa process is cumbersome, it's not working, then it defeats the whole purpose, because we would have done our work. So that is why you would bring in those forums, you will have the Department of Home Affairs updating us on how far they are with their e-visa systems, how far they are with the tour operator, trusted tour operator program, for visa processes perspective. This is where we engage your Department of Transport to say, hey, people, when they come here, our tour operators don't have licenses on the ground. They've been struggling for 3 years trying to get their licenses. So those structures are there to, address the barriers for people to come through. So I will be sharing with you on those and others. The rest of the questions, I'll give it back to my colleagues. Bron? Oh, you wanna come in? Okay.
Yeah. Just to add on the question around the compliance with the land use management regulations when you apply for a renovation of your establishment. We can assist you in terms of connecting you with the people that are responsible for town planning or spatial planning. And further to that, on a quarterly basis, we have stakeholder engagement sessions. So we'll make sure that we invite them just to unpack the services that they offer in terms of making sure that there's compliance with town planning regulations.
Thank you very much. It's good to have all the role players in the room. Therefore, I think the rest of the questions I'll give it to Bronwyn, Nelly.
Okay, this might be a two-man show. Nelly, would you like to come up and we can see how we address the other questions? So, thank you, Johannesburg Tourism Company. This is a team sport, right? It really is a team sport. I can't actually emphasize it enough. And congratulations to the Hampton by Hilton. Welcome, Nisha. Welcome to the family. We are very aware that you opened. We actually were standing by to come to the opening event, just saying we didn't make the grade, just saying. I'm teasing. Yes, okay, so I'm going to tackle some of your questions, Nisha and Nels. Don't know if you want to stand by just in case, but we've just been through a grading criteria review. So our grading criteria is kept current on a 3-year cycle. Nicolo, who's sitting here, the black jacket on, is responsible for it. And she dragged us around the country, literally, to see everybody about how we make the grading criteria very relevant. So you had 3 questions, but I'm going to try and answer them in one go. Your question is very relevant. Grading criteria changes all the time. We look at trends, key trends that are paramount to who we are as human beings, impact our businesses. So sustainability. Sustainability, 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 sustainability. I cannot say it enough. We are all feeling the impact of shifts in the climate and everything that we do. Sustainability is one of the key trends we need to be mindful of. One of the other trends, which is very important in general, is inclusivity. So as a country with a very, very robust constitution, I think we are not strangers to this, which makes it so beautiful for South Africa, and which is why things like universal access are key to how we are going to move forward. And Nelly spoke about it earlier. We have UA certification right now. In the next iteration of the grading criteria, we are certainly hoping that core requirements for universal design, which are your easier requirements, become part of your main requirements. So, ramps, having dedicated parking spaces, making sure that your staff are well trained. Nothing substantially infrastructure or capital heavy, but minimum standards. Training staff is not a huge. It's not a huge job to be done. So I think that is really, really important. And then I think we are quite mindful of the different types of travelers. Senzi, you were speaking about the digital nomads and how we recognize digital nomads. So some of the trends you'll see is our technology needs to be updated. Technology, access to Wi-Fi, seeing great product coming through in that space. Our categories do cover a range of things, okay? And coming back to digital, online guest reviews, the question is, do we include online guest reviews? Well, an online guest, much like my neighbors who grade the restaurants in my area, okay, are not qualified chefs, okay? I don't know how else to explain that. I appreciate their review, but I'm certainly not going to be necessarily taking at face value their experience of any cuisine in my neighborhood. They're probably more than anything else speaking to customer service, but I don't know what their taste bud orientation is versus mine. In some instances, I do feel like I have no taste buds because what they see in a restaurant versus what I see are different opinions. And the same goes for grading. And I'm not going to say that we are tone deaf. We don't make it part of our criteria, but we can certainly see from online guest reviews in principle how customers experience a property. We do run very formal reviews of grading, and we have something called a Net Promoter Score, which is a survey that we run with a methodology to check how satisfied consumers are with graded properties. And they are more satisfied with graded properties than non-graded properties. So I hope that helps answer your question. We've also helped some properties who've come to us and said, we don't understand, we're getting bad reviews on one property and not others, and it's not part of our service, but they ask us for our opinion. We have visited and we've helped them to understand it. It is a litmus test of if there's a problem in a particular property. I've had to deal with this feedback on online guest reviews. It's an indicator of what the consumer is experiencing. So we're not blind to that, but it's not something that is going to gauge the norm and the standard for the industry that we are all wanting to adhere to and that we are setting as an industry. We're not prescribing it. It comes from the industry. So, for example, digital nomads. We, for example, did not have or did not prescribe in our current grading criteria Wi-Fi upload and download speeds. Next iteration, Wi-Fi upload and download speeds. because it is part of what we do. We have got some beautiful digital nomad spaces for people who like to stay either in apartment hotels or backpacking in hostels in the Western Cape. We were at a particularly well-known property for that kind of traveler, and it's categorized as a 4-star backpacking facility. So we do have categories that accommodate it right now. So I hope that answers your question. And then maybe Nelly, on the accolades, do you want to speak to that just in terms of how one can find accolades and that kind of thing?
Thanks, Bron. So I think the question was, where will the accolades be available once we give? I'm not sure whether they would display it on their website, but certainly on our website. There's a search function which allows you to search per province, establishment name, star grading levels or whatsoever, but it also gives an indication of the accolades that we have awarded to them. I don't know if you recall me saying that once we have completed a meeting, we'll give them that insignia. It also includes an icon for accolades, so they can then display it on whatever material they decide to dispatch, particularly for their market. I think we take the input for remote working accolade under advisement. We'll definitely look into it. Sustainability, I think you just asked when we apply the criteria whether we do so. And we do. I did mention the responsible tourism accolade. There's quite a lot of elements there that speaks to waste management, local produce, local procurement, and so on, and so forth. And we are very intentional going into the new criteria to single out sustainability. So we've done quite a lot of revision around that, and we're looking at 5 pillars, including heritage, including people, including environment. So please be on the lookout for that, because I think even in our criteria, going forward, we'll put sustainable elements within the actual criteria. Giving our members up until 2028 to achieve those practices that we wish them to implement going forward. Because I think in Bron's feedback, she did say those are the trends that are emerging, particularly as travelers are coming to the various destinations. I think we've covered everything. There's one on informal accommodation, right? I think she may have touched on these backpackers and hosteling, but there is basic quality verification. That is an informal accommodation, where we'll then verify them. The criteria for basic quality verification is not as stringent, but we are almost looking at an entry level to say, are they basic there? Because, I mean, we all know that some travelers want to be immersed in the communities that they go to. So we've made sure that we have criteria speaking to that. So when we gazette it, please be on the lookout for the basic quality verification criteria as well. Oh, and yes, adventure, you did ask about adventure, whether... Yes, certainly. So, as I mentioned in my introduction, in terms of the mandate, that we currently doing accommodation in conference venues due to certain constraints, but with this review, we've also added attractions and experiences. So I'd love your feedback on what we've captured there. So when we publish it through the Government Gazette, you'll see what we are looking for, but obviously issues around health and safety, right? And it's got to be in line with, compliance regulations. And we look at things like pre the arrival, what needs to happen, during the actual experience, what needs to happen, and post that as well. Okay.
Thank you very much, Nelly. I think somebody mentioned online. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with X Lighting, who says, what is the recourse for people who are displaying the stars or marketing themselves as being graded while they are not? And the next question is for, Zula. I just need to let them know that the grading website application offline, but I just checked it. It is online. Please, can they just go on again? And then Albertine Corsi is asking, please advise if there is available funding or an institution that provides grants or modifying rooms to be disability friendly. And then Ashlyn Lumadi, the last question, asks, good day. My question is, how are heritage sites graded, or what categories do they fall under when they also have a concert venue, conference halls, and cafeteria with a kitchen and a chef? Those are all the questions online. The first one is directed to me. Should I just go on with it? Okay. Okay, the recourse for people displaying stars illegally, as Ms. Yengwa alluded to, let me just stand, it's not be rude. In her presentation, I'm the person that will be dealing with feedback, positive and negative, and if someone is illegally advertising, we rely on you as the public and myself to let us know through that feedback channel, just so that we can go there and check. But I'd just like to say two things. When you go to a property and they're advertising themselves as being quality assured or graded using star insignia, it doesn't matter what kind of star it is, the star insignia belongs to the Tourism Grading Council. Please ask for a certificate. The certificate that we dispatch, which is electronic, will have a validity date. That date will tell you if they are a valid member or not. Don't just look at the plaque. The plaque does not have a validity date. Ask for the certificate, then you will know for sure are they graded or not. With that said, if you are sure that they're not graded, I would really appreciate it if you would go on to feedback@tourismgrading.co.za, where then me and my one-man team, there's two of us, will then contact the property. We have 4 stages that we go through, 4 letters that they will receive, because we start off friendly. We don't start off with daggers to say, excuse me, are you aware that you are illegally advertising yourself? We'd also check things like, have they been graded before, and give them a chance to come back into the system before we take out the knives and the daggers. You'll get then the letters 1, 2, 3, 4. By the 4th letter, it means that you are not cooperated, you are not interested. We will then have to open up a case at SAPS and start then with the process of putting you under the law. You can get a fine up to 1 million rand for illegally advertising yourself as being graded, because you're misleading the public. Is that clear? Okay.
Crystal clear. I think there was another one about where they can get funding. So if they can go to the Department of Tourism website and then log in there, you'll see this Tourism Transformation Fund and Tourism Green Fund, as I've mentioned. Just when you Tourism Green Incentive Fund. So when they go onto the website, I'm on the website right now. It on the landing page, they will see there's number of funds. One, Transformation Fund is open. Tourism Equity Fund applications open now. A Green Tourism Incentive Program application are open now. All of them, they say open now, open now. So go in there on the landing page of Department of Tourism. You will see those and then log in there. If you are unsure, you can contact me and then I will link you up with the relevant people. I will leave my details. My email address is Tony, Tony @southafrica.net. And then my cell phone number is a national call center. It's 082 466 4369 during office hours. Thank you. I think, and then there was 2 more. What? I forgot now.
No. I'm saying 2 more just popped up now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can tell us.
Okay. The one that was asking heritage sites graded, we've already answered that. But which categories would they fall under? Concert venues and conference hall. That would be the venues category that Ms. Yangwa just did a presentation on. So yes, they can be graded under the venues category. And then it says, has the Green Incentive Program for 2024 closed or already?
Okay, Tony has just answered that. Everything is open right now. And then the last one is there any funding for startup in building a hotel or a guest house, which I assume Department of Tourism would also deal with that question?
Yeah,
that's it.
certainly. So, any more inputs, comments? We sorted. Are we sure? Can I check you, all of you, that you sorted? Because I know there's that pesky question, but I don't know whether to ask this question. Yeah, you see, I know I'm gonna get questions out of you guys. There's a mic. Thank you.
I have properties that I'm grading. Their liquor license has expired, and they had applied 12 months ago. I have one client is over there, and they don't know what to do, and they have an event venue, and which means they're doing weddings, birthday parties, and they need to serve alcohol, and they had to stop because they don't know what to do, and they're still waiting. So what can be done, Mr. Nkadime?
I wish I had the answer to that. There must be, I think I'll put my brother on the spot. Is it a Joburg thing, or is it who? Or I don't know how the liquor license, who give liquor licenses? Liquor board, eh? Yeah, it is, unfortunately there are areas where what we will do, because we're collating some of the concerns that are raised here, we will share via the channel to say, look, we have people who are losing business because you guys are slow, and it's not looking good for us, because which means now there's no revenue coming in, and also for the city it means you're not going to get revenue because you're holding people. I think it's something that we can channel through the channels. If we will get all the information and then
started last year, January, and we still opened our hotel without a liquor license. We are not selling any liquor, but it is putting a damper on our business because it is a major aspect of the business.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks for that. I mean, we will channel it through the relevant authorities. I'm trying to remember, was it when we were in Cape Town? Oh, okay, where we had the DDG for economic development was actually telling about the red tape reduction issue. It is actually the issue that is on President's to-do list as well. The red tape reduction is really impeding on your success, but we will take it up with the relevant authorities. Maybe when it comes from us with our letterhead, they will see the seriousness. I don't know, I'm just thinking, but we will definitely do that. Yes.
I got a small solution for you. You can ask him to bring their own alcohol, and then you just charge him a corking fee. Then you are legal.
Well, we prefer to go the right route of channeling it to the relevant authorities. But thank you. Any more comments, questions, inputs? Okay, I think, there's one there.
I'll use my short steward voice.
Okay.
What caught my attention was on the technical presentation was maybe with my name. I'm Kanye Sangewu from Joburg Tourism Company. I was keen to actually just pursue this one offline, but because we're encouraging questions, so here I am. What caught my attention on the technical presentation on the introductory slide was the restaurant grading. So my question was just wanting to understand how that differs or how it compares with the Michelin star. We, as Joburg Tourism Company, we were invited into a meeting just with the Michelin star team. It's quite a costly exercise. So it's just wanting to understand how those two compare. I also made a note in that specific presentation about on the accolades that gastronomy is something that will be built into the range of accolades. So I just really want to understand then if there's a restaurant grading component, how will the gastronomy accolade differ? And maybe in parting shot, if a restaurant establishment has been graded, would you recommend that that they participate in the Michelin process? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So at this point in time, we grade accommodation and venues. In the next iteration, we are proposing adding attractions and experiences from a product perspective. Having said that, we're the only entity with the legislative requirement to put norms and standards together. We have not tackled the restaurant sector just yet, and we do want to in the next iteration, which will be within the next 3 years. Now, it sounds like a long time, but if you're Nicolo, who's sitting there listening eagerly, she knows it's going to go by really quickly. So our job is to collaborate and to pull everyone into a room and have this conversation and say, if we are ready. So we build our criteria based on the readiness of the industry. If the industry is ready, the associations are ready, the different agencies are ready, the product is ready, we will then create that forum to engage, gather the information, and put it forward for Government Gazette. So it is, and again, I must emphasize this very, very important point. I keep saying it, but we don't make these decisions without consultation. It must be balanced, it must be fair, and it must be very well considered before we can even start to get into those territories. So I'm so excited because now you're also going to be coming into our meetings. And I'm very clear which agencies are very keen on grading restaurants. We do think it's important. It is a very big category. And I know that some databases are in excess of 5,000 registered restaurants in the country. I'm not entirely sure of just how big the category actually is, but there's a lot to be considered when you are putting something together for that many establishments. So looking forward to it, and colleagues, please, you know where to find us. We're here. If there are no further questions, do you think, is everyone ready to have a last cup of tea with us, have a chat? Please come find us, have a conversation. We're very grateful to have you in the room. For those online, thank you for joining us. We appreciate all the questions. It demonstrates just how engaged we are in providing quality assurance for South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Yeah, I think with those words, colleagues, this is it. It's not the first and the last. We're going to be having engagement. So I don't know, team. I know that you had tea earlier on, but I'm told there's lunch. Is there lunch? Lunch. I just want to double check so that. Oh, there is lunch. Okay, there's lunch, colleagues. Lunch will be served. So please don't mind gaining a few pounds today. You know, we are in this together. We're gonna walk around and you're gonna all disappear. You know, don't worry. I've put some little bit of something there to ease out. But thank you very much for your attention and for indulging us, colleagues. Thank you very much. My name is Toning Kadimeng. Thank you.